Oh, what are we doing? I'm small. I need to make myself big. Where'd I go? What's going on with my camera? Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. I think something's wrong with my camera. Let me try to fix that. Sorry about that. Welcome to Massive Iron Live, where I'm shrinking and expanding and doing all sorts of things. That's the magic of like liveness. I got a hair up here, when I see that in the reflection, you get like stuff up here, and you're like, oh, I'm a little bit nasty. What's going on, guys? Happy Friday. It is March 14th, 2025, for any of you that are teleporting from the past back to the future, or teleporting from the future to the past. It is March 14th. Appreciate everybody joining me. Excuse me. Massive Iron Live is the longest running lifting podcast Q&A in the history of the universe. And I was up a little bit late last night. Excuse my voice. I'm finally feeling better after 5 weeks of some sort of illness. I'm going to give it to Monday to train again. I got my wedding anniversary tomorrow. I'm going to a Brazilian steakhouse. Before I dive into things, guys, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to post them, even if they've been asked 1,000 times before. I'm here to help. Don't be shy. If your questions don't go through, try shortening them. Sometimes longer questions don't go through. And if they still don't go through, I want you to try to take out the naughty words or try rewording them. I got a frog in my throat. Try rewording them. How you fitness influencers doing? I was thinking about 3 o'clock last night as I was working, trying to get caught up on a little bit of work before the weekend. I was thinking to myself, what a journey this has been. I started doing this. YouTube gave me a notification that over 14 years ago, I started doing YouTube. And it really made me think a lot, because I just started recording videos about things that I like to do, and what an amazing journey it has been. I didn't start out to be an influencer. In fact, I consider myself more like an anti-influencer. I don't feel ever a part of their crowd. And I kind of like that. I don't want to be a part of their crowd. I mean, I'm blessed when I was in the supplement industry to have met so many people, wonderful people, and worked with so many wonderful people, meeting Mr. Olympias and, interviewing Mr. Olympias and, doing content with the Hodge twins and, just everybody in between. It's been a huge, huge blessing. Everybody, from everybody you can imagine. It's been a huge, huge blessing, and I never expected it. And when I say I'm an anti-influencer, I'm not being dismissive of all the wonderful experiences I've been through, but like when I go on Instagram or YouTube and see all these people, putzing around and posing and, laying on their back and creating curl variations, it's like so foreign to me. It's not anything that I feel connected with. It's just not anything I want to be a part of. I'm always been a part of community. Community is what I value the most. You guys are what I value the most. And I know I'm rambling a bit, but at the end of the day, it all started just in a basement gym, and that's where it is currently. I'm all about lifting. I don't care what you guys do. I'm always going to be on your side. Occasionally, I might get some things wrong, and that's okay, because we're not here to persecute each other. We're trying to pull each other forward. But I will always be on your side. And when I share opinions on here, when I share opinions on social media, I'm sharing thoughts, like we're sitting together across from each other at a bar, at a table. This is what I think. I think they're full of crap. It's just, I think it's crazy. There are a lot of people that will never like what we do, that will never like what I do. And that's okay. I like what I do. I like overhead presses. I like balance training. I like classic training. I like brutal training. I like going from point A to point B. I like to dive in. I like to grind. I just enjoy lifting. All the things I've got from lifting, a career, um, all of you, this channel, all of my lifts, my body transformations, all the amazing, the running, all the things I've done. That was always because I just loved what I'm doing, not to put on a show for social media. And I'm happy about that because, I'm not trying to be an influencer. Anyway, enough rambling. How are we doing today? Let's get into things. We got some good questions. And let's see what we got. Big Martin, happy Friday. Massive Minions, thanks for tuning in. Can you please explain the difference in the lat-focused row that you suggested versus the dumbbell row? Now, the dumbbell row is going to be pulling naturally. You're gonna really focus. I focus on driving my elbows and shoulders back. That's my main focus. Driving my elbows and shoulders back while bracing the core and trying to feel the lats and back work. Like when I do this, when I drive the elbow and shoulder back, I can feel the back work, that's my focus. I can feel my lats working. We had this discussion, on Massive Iron yesterday, like somehow a dumbbell row doesn't hit, the lats, which is a ridiculous thing. It's a compound movement. But anyway, when we shift the feeling or the focus of the exercise and driving our elbows towards our hip, it's almost like we're pulling down. You can see the shoulder pulling down. We're driving the elbow towards our hip when we're rowing. When we're just rowing here, watch my shoulder relative to my, my chin. Pretty even, right? So when we're doing a dumbbell row, we're not trying to create some arbitrary geometry and this has to be here and all that kind of influencery stuff, right? When we're doing a dumbbell row, we're just going to kind of pull naturally, driving I think driving my shoulder and elbow back at the same time, not just my elbow. I want to get the shoulder involved. So watch my shoulder relative to my bottom of my chin, driving it back. It stays about the same. Now, when you do a lat-focused row, you're basically you're driving your elbow towards your hip, right? And it kind of dips down, and you can really feel the lat focus amplify a lot. And you can see when I do that motion, well, I'm not looking down. You can see when I do that motion, my shoulder dips. That's not the point to dip the shoulder, but it's just kind of a sign that I am doing it right, that I am transferring more focus to the lats. When I do a V-bar pull down compared to a wide grip pull down, when I bring my elbows in towards my side, I can really feel an intense pressure contraction on the bottom area of the lat. That's what I can feel. And it's kind of the same thing when you do a lat-focused dumbbell row. Now, a lat-focused dumbbell row, we have to be very, very careful because you're swinging it back, okay? You're moving the weight backwards towards your hips and not basically straight up on your torso. So because of that, when you bring it down, it's really easy for it to come and bounce back the opposite way and almost swing a little bit, and then we can drive it back and swing and drive it back, what I'm saying? I felt like I was doing something, from the Lord of the Rings, some, get your Stein or whatever. The dwarves, some sort of dwarvian drinking party. But when you bring it back to your lats, you have lowered it down your torso. And when you return the weight down, there's a tendency you could swing it and then pull it back. So you really have to be disciplined at the bottom. So I hope that helps some. Let me know if you guys have any follow-up questions. You're going to be using less weight because it's a leverage disadvantage. That doesn't mean it doesn't have a moderate or reasonable progression opportunity. A lat-focused dumbbell row has a moderate progression opportunity, decent. Okay. A dumbbell row has one of the best progression opportunities. So it doesn't mean you can't, doesn't mean you have to choose one over the other. They're two different rows. You could do them both weekly or bi-weekly if you wanted to. There was another point I was going to mention about them, but I forgot it, so maybe I'll come back to it. Big Joe B. How's it going, Joe B? I hope you're doing good this Friday. When not lifting due to injury, how often should calories be reduced to keep a cut rolling? Cuts are highly personal, and there is never any advice that is one size fits all. It's a lot of cuts are about mood, and let me explain. I'm old AF. For those of you guys that don't know what AF means, it means as bleep, right? We'll try not to swear today. I'm old AF. And the point I'm making by bringing that up is I've been through cutting diets many times. Periods where after the military, I got a little pudgy the first year, and I think I cut down 30 pounds. And then, I've cut over the years. After I lost 100 pounds, I bulked back up to like 266 for powerlifting meet. And then I cut again back down to 238, lost another 28 pounds. Yeah, I've been down the road a lot. And my point here is that each time I go down the road, it's almost different. It might not be the case for you. Your cuts might be ultra consistent. Your mood might be ultra consistent. But I find personally that with each new journey in my fitness and lifting career, if you want to call anything we do a career, nothing ever is the same. Your mood's the same. The circumstances aren't the same. Sometimes my motivation just isn't the same. I know I need to defat. I know I need to do this. I know I need to do that. So the point here is that you really need to ride the horse that's given to you at that time, right? Am I super motivated? Let's go aggressive. Am I not super motivated? Let's just take it slow and steady. So I can't really give you, a magical answer, but my answer is always go as aggressive as you can at any given time, but keep it sustainable. Does that make sense? So you don't like how often you change calories. That's going to depend on what the scale is doing. There's no step system. There's no adjustment system. There's so many variables in cutting. Oh, I got a kid's birthday party this weekend. I'm going to have a piece of cake. It's our anniversary. I'm going to have a couple drinks. If you can actually get to a smooth period in life, where you're cutting, and you don't have any interruptions, any deviations, any motivation, wavering, then you're in a really good place. But cut aggressive as you can and keep it sustainable. I'm going crazy over here because picking up the dogs. We see fuzz on this thing. We see like dog fuzz and stuff. I got to make myself presentable with my Genki ass sweatshirt. Hit the like button. Thank you guys for being here. Really, I mean, I'm not even kidding. I'm just sitting here at like 3 a.m. working, thinking, how did I get, how did I get here? How did I get here? I'm in the last act of my life, and it's it's not some little violent thing. That's just the way it is. But you're like, wow, how did I get here? How did I get here? How did I get amongst all these other influencers to the point where I'm getting on here laughing at Dr. Mike's when he's laying down doing a curl flat out. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? What the living fuckity fuck are you doing? But I'm, I've had a couple people over the years, come at me like I was trying to be an influencer or whatever. And it's funny because all I do every day is think about lifting, think about workouts, thinking about new workout structures, answering questions. I don't have anything in common with those people. I'm just a schmuck from Wisconsin. I'm just a guy that likes lifting, and anyway. All righty, let's analyze this. I got a little bit of a piece of Google Doc. I want to talk about this a little bit. Back in the day, when I was critical of starting strength, back at the time when starting strength was very, very, at its peak, right? It was at its peak. And I took a lot of crap for being critical of the program. Let me just do something with the page setup here. And, people be like, it's starting strength. It's, one of the 10 commandments of lifting. It is Ripito. Ripito, super intelligent. He put out a book, right? And you can't be critical of starting strength. Who are you to be critical of starting strength? Well, I'm just a schmuck, right? And you can do whatever you want. I'm going to talk about the program, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I think it's one of the worst programs for novices there is. It's one of the worst things you can do in the gym. And I'm going to go over a little bit why I feel that way. This is not an attack on Ripito as a person. I'm talking about the program, and I think it's a trash heap program. I think there's only one worse novice program out there, and I think that's Strong Lifts, which is a variation, a deviation, a derivation. It's So let me explain, because I know when I say it's a trash heap program, that upsets some of you. Okay, and I want to explain, because I'm not just arbitrarily critiquing the program for the sake of critiquing the program or trying to create drama or anything like that. We need to analyze these programs reasonably, rationally. And saying something is a trash heap program is a pretty aggressive and controversial statement. I'm well aware of that. But I'm not using hyperbole. I'm not using hyperbole. I honestly believe, of all the programs out there, for somebody that wants to build muscle and strength, this is the bottom of the trash bin. Now, let me set the table and say, yes, it has squats. Yes, it has deadlifts. Yes, it has overhead press. Yes, it has bench press. These are all fine lifts. Yes, even power cleans or chin-ups. Really good ensemble of lifts. There's nothing wrong inherently with these lifts. I'm not anti-barbell. But I want to break things down, because most programs contain the same base lifts. Can we agree on that? Most programs contain the same base lifts. So generally, you guys have heard me in the past say, fuck your program. The programs don't matter. Programs generally don't matter, but I always put the caveat that they have to be reasonable programs, okay? They have to be reasonable. So the question is, if I consider this probably one of the worst choices for novices, because it is a novice program, it is a muscle and strength base building program, why do I consider it that to be that way when it has these big lifts in? Okay, so the first reason, and let me see if I can get a few bullet point actions here, is because it has an over-reliance, if we can type, on posterior movements right out of the gate. Now, let me explain. This might not make sense to any of you that don't coach for a living, and that's fair. But imagine for a second, you are my apprentice. You've been with me the last 10 years, okay? You have been sitting here, you've been watching form videos, coaching, thousands of people. You have been my apprentice. So what you see is that when you turn on the internet, nearly, you see these guys squatting and deadlifting, big numbers, right? You see big numbers and pretty darn good form. And you have developed an appreciation for when form isn't really good. But most of what you see on the internet with the guys moving around the big numbers or impressive numbers, squats above 315, 400, deadlifts above 400, 500, 600, you see pretty good form. So what you tend to develop, because you have a blind spot, you tend to develop a blind spot. We don't think that possibly most people don't have good squat and deadlift form. But in coaching, I can tell you, and this is not a criticism, this is a reality. Most people that come to me with form videos, and trust me, I see on a weekly basis over 1,000 videos. That's not an exaggeration. From my clients, from people submitting them, minimum 500. I see at least 100 videos a day, form videos a day. And anybody that doubts that, thinks I'm puffing things up or exaggerating, come on over to Team Massive, right? And I'll talk about my workday. I'll talk about my clients. My clients can submit videos every single day. And I have a pretty substantial client base. So anyway, when you look at these videos over a long period of time, what you realize is that most people don't have good squat and deadlift form. Not a criticism. They're not bad people, but you see on the internet, everybody has good form. All these big lifters are just crushing form. And then in real life, you see most people don't have good form. I have big lifters clients that I feature on social media that we have been working relentlessly on improving form on squats and deadlifts. So the point here is there's a disconnect. In the real world and not on the internet, most people, not all, we're not going to set an arbitrary percentage. Most people need work on their squats and deadlifts to get anything appreciable out of them. So a lot of times on squats, you'll see knees in, high squats, all kinds of things. All the pressure, most of the pressure you see from these people is just hammering their lower back. They're not getting quad development, very minimal. They're not getting a lot out of their squats. Same with deadlift. Deadlift is a game of half inches. Bars a little bit forward, bars a little bit back, hips a little bit up, hips a little bit down. You have to be able to see in the matrix on the deadlift to understand the nuance to make adjustments, okay? So when you take lifts like the squat and the deadlift, which are very technical, they're a lot more technical to learn, and some people are going to be dismissive, and they're going to leave hate comments on this, and that's fair, but I'm just being honest with you. You don't see what I see, and that's not an insult. Most people need a lot of work to get their squat and deadlift to the point where they're getting quality value out of it, for it to be a primary focus in a hypertrophy program, even in a strength building program. If you bring me 100 lifters today down here in the dungeon, and I get to work with them face to face, we're going to get them up to speed pretty quickly on the squat and deadlift, but it's still going to take time to build habits, to remove flaws. These are technical lifts that are unforgiving and will beat up the body. So when you take a group of novices and you make their primary focus technical lifts that take a long period of time to get down, meanwhile, their lower back, which is the weak body part in the chain, has to get up to speed, and that can take a year, a couple of years. You're going to, A, beat the living shit out of their lower back, B, put them in the position, because these are highly technical lifts that need time to semi-master. Because of that, they're not going to get a lot out of these lifts for quite a while. Not everyone. You might be lucky to get a lot out of your squats and deadlifts out of the gate, and great, that's wonderful. But at least, in my opinion, 70% of people won't be like that. It might be higher. So we take this workout and we have squats and we have deadlifts and we have squats and then we have power cleans. Now, power cleans are pretty technical, right? And it's another lift that's going to beat up your lower back. So we're basically left with bench and overhead. Now you might say, oh, chin-ups. Chin-ups are a great exercise. Chin-ups. The reality from coaching, twofold. Number one, chin-ups. If you're really, really on the lighter side of body weight, chin-ups are probably going to work pretty well for you. Probably. Most people that I see, especially in this day and age, struggle tremendously with chin-ups, okay? Chin-ups are inherently slow progressors for most people. They're not an easy lift. We can't just, this isn't 1972 where all men weigh 152 pounds in high school and can easily do 12 chin-ups. We're lifters. We're packing mass. We're bulking. Chin-ups are not easy for most people. Somebody's going to argue with me in the comments, but that's the reality. And you don't get a vote because I'm right. It's just what I see. It's what I see. And just be open-minded to understanding that maybe if chin-ups are easy for you, for the other 85% of people, they're not easy. So we're left with power cleans, which are technical. So 4 out of the 6 exercises we have here are a pain. Now, you could put in pendlay rows, which is good. That would be wonderful. Or even if you want to, a dumbbell row, which I would advocate. But then we're starting to clean up the program. And there's other variations of the program. So we're left with bench and we're left with overhead. Now, we have landed now. The second issue is we've landed in the arbitrary world of barbell only and fives. Fives are not magical. There's nothing wrong with them. But as a beginner, we probably need a little bit more volume, mechanical tension, time under stress. And some people are going to argue with me here as well. You guys can feel free to do whatever you want. I'm just presenting my side of the opinion. If you think my side of the story, my opinion, if you think I'm an idiot, that's fine. But we're doing no dumbbell work. Okay, we're all in cult of barbell. We worship barbells. We worship fives. We're getting kind of in this weird arbitrary place where everything has to be fives. Everything has to be a barbell. And the question is, why? Is that the best? Are fives the best for every lift? We can discuss it all we want, but I don't feel like we're getting enough work. A novice here needs a little bit more rep practice, more conventional rep ranges on the bench press and the overhead press. But we're splitting hairs. I don't care if you use a 3x5. I'm saying I don't think that's inherently anything we need to worry about, the best option for everybody, etc. So we're in the arbitrary world of barbell only and 5x5s. Now, I'm going to draw this out a little bit, and I appreciate you guys watching. Tune in. I'll try to make this quick. In the massive iron world, we talk about weekly volume, okay? If you're going to build a base, you need to build a hypertrophy, a muscle base to build future strength. So we're not just trying to execute strength increases right now because we're not narrow-minded. We're trying to build a muscle base for future strength. Now, you're like, we're building strength. We're strength builders. We don't need hypertrophy. We're strength builders, right? Wrong. Scientifically, we know that the biggest power lifters almost to a person, or the strongest power lifters almost to a person, are also the biggest power lifters, muscle-wise. This isn't speculation. This was floating around the toilet bowl, called the internet several years back. All the major chatterers and influencers were talking about it. You can go research it yourself. I made a video on it, and I don't have time to find it. But we do know that when they looked at power lifters, they found that almost to a person, the strongest power lifters were almost always the biggest power lifters. Does muscle build strength? No, strength building is far more technical. You know, you have limb links and you have leverages and you have technique and you have all kinds of stuff. Muscle is a different game. But the muscle base is the platform. It is the framework that allows you to build for future strength. So if we are building a base for future strength, we need to have pretty much a well-rounded base. Now, you can go with this, which I'm about to dive into, or you can go with a more conventional method or a massive iron method. The massive iron method is we focus on building strength from head to toe, getting as strong as we can from head to toe, more of a shotgun approach in every part of the human body, every muscle group in the human body. So let's say your squats are good. Let's say your deadlifts are good. Okay, you have quads. You're lifting 3 times a week. So you're basically doing 9 sets of quads or 9 sets of squats for quads. Now, the issue here is no variation. I will argue that one of the cornerstones to building a solid strength and muscle base is a reasonable variation. Not doing the same lift over and over and over again, but including other lifts to a reasonable degree. We don't have to get obsessive about variation, but we need you just can't do one barbell exercise over and over again. So you might want to work in the leverage squat, the leg press, the hack squat, lunges, whatever. You need a little bit of variation. We want to hit the quads, not just a movement like squats. Yes, we want a big squat, but we also want to build big quads. So we want a little bit of variation. This variation will lend itself to better size increases because we're not just doing the same thing over and over again. Bigger quads will help you with things like the deadlift. So we have to kind of move beyond the arbitrary, we're only going to do squats, and get a little variation in the mix. So back, the deadlift is what I call a unicorn lift. It hits the upper back and traps very, very hard. But we're going to leave it out of the mix because many people don't like to believe that it works the upper back. But it does. We'll leave that as a topic for another time. So if we're working our back and we remove the deadlifts, we'll just rule out the power clean here. We're probably left with 3 sets of chin-ups, or maybe you decide to put pendlay rows or dumbbell rows. So we'll just leave back at 3. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Whoopsie doopsie. All right. Okay. And let me pop that up, roll that up, scroll that up. All right. Now for chesticles. Well, we're doing so that would be 4.5 sets per week, because we're doing 3 workouts. Chesticles, we have the bench press every other workout. That would be 4.5 sets per week, only the bench press, no dumbbells, no machine press, no dips, nothing. Now, you could probably work in dips if you want to. We can look at variations, but then we're just trying to turn it into some other program that's really not. So delts, you have same thing, 4.5 sets per week. Okay. And you have no real direct arm work. You can work in curls if you want. No real direct arm work. No real direct anything else. Really, it's a bunch of compound movements and isolations. Now, compounds are great for building mass, but depending on the structure of the program, they're going to be about 60 to 70% of your mass builders. You still need, and I hesitate to say isolation lifts because some of these aren't really isolation. You need things like close grip bents or seated press downs or, massive curls or, machine exercises that aren't isolations, but still provide a reasonable progression opportunity. So overall, leaving out deadlifts because they're controversial, we have or a unicorn lift. We have 13.5. We have 22.5 sets for what I call major areas of focus. Major areas of focus. So we have 22 sets for major areas of focus, being these areas: chest, back, quads, and delts. We have no non-barbell exercises, really. No substantial. We have no variation. We just have a whole lot of nothing, right? Other than a couple of lifts that require you to technically spend a lot of time getting up to speed on. Now, if you were to do a more conventional strength and base building program, here's what I would advocate. I would advocate 4 workouts of 18 hard sets a day. This allows us some opportunity for variety. We get to work in dumbbell lifts. Now, dumbbell lifts are extremely important. They don't have the same technical disadvantage in general, we're generalizing, that barbell lifts have. You have to learn a deadlift. It's going to take time. You have to learn a squat. It's going to take time. It's going to beat up your lower back. But you can use some deadlifts or use some dumbbell exercises, dumbbell rows, dumbbell bench, dumbbell overhead. Dumbbells are great for hypertrophy. There's no downside to adding in dumbbell work in addition to barbell work. So you could do dumbbell bench and barbell bench. What downside is there? Why are we being reductionist? Why are we removing tools? Wouldn't you say that if we're doing the bench, there's a potential benefit from adding in maybe dumbbell bench, maybe incline dumbbell bench, maybe dips, a little bit of variety? I would say 100%, in my opinion, and this is something I would go to war over, that program is always going to be better for building a broader, stronger, wider base. More tools. It's not taking more time. Why wouldn't we? So in the massive iron world, if we do 4 workouts of 18 hard sets, we're going to look at 12 sets of quads per week, and maybe 3 to 6 or 4 to 6 or whatever you want of squats. So we're reducing the focus on squats, which are very technical and hard to learn, take time to master. And we're working in some other exercises that can build your quads. I'm going to consider this a bonus. Now, in the massive iron world, we're looking at 12 sets of back, excluding deadlifts. If you want to include deadlifts in this mix, go right ahead. But we're looking at a dumbbell row or a barbell row or a pendlay row or a T-bar row or a seated cable row. And then we're getting into things like the lat pull down for people that can't do pull-ups or chin-ups yet. And a lot of other back exercises, the chest supported row, the seal row, a lot of good back building exercises. So we're tossing that onto the fire, okay? And chest, we're going to move that up to 12 sets of chest per week. We're going to throw in a dumbbell variation, maybe dips, maybe a machine chest press, maybe a barrel press, whatever. We're going to beef up our attack, and same with delts. Now, for those of you guys that don't want to train 4 days a week, we can reduce it to 3 days a week, and we can reduce these down to 9, okay? And we're going to have more variety. We're going to have a broader base, a broader plan of attack. We're not going to over-rely or put all of our eggs in the basket of posterior lifts, which take time to learn for most and beat up the lower back for most. And not only this, but we're building a broad base, which is going to allow us a platform to build future strength because we're building more muscle. So that is my reason for not using starting strength. Okay. And I will receive some hate. I will receive some general starting strength is GOAT. But I do not find with any program, starting strength aside, if we rely only on one type of piece of equipment, a barbell, called a barbell, or we rely on arbitrary rep schemes for everything like 5s, the demands of every exercise are different. 6 reps might feel better for you on pendlay rows than 8. Dips, you might like 8s, you might like 10s, you might like 12s. Okay. So the cornerstone of long-term training is to evolve training based on needs. What's happening in the gym? I'm not just going to stick to some arbitrary program and say 5s are holy of holies and stick to that no matter what. I might get in the gym and find out I like 6s on bench or the 3s protocol or whatever. Lastly, as an end cap, linear progression, not linear periodization, which is a different thing and it's very viable. Linear progression is arguably the worst form of progression you could use because it has a very limited opportunity. You can't simply add 5 pounds every week. Now, if you don't want to do that on starting strength and you want to modify it to do, to a different progression opportunity or progression approach, by all means. But linear progression, and I stand by this, and this is a hill I will die on, is absolutely the worst, most common used progression opportunity because you become focused on trying to add 5 or 10 pounds every week to a lift. That's not sustainable. It has a very short window, and you're going to run into a wall very, very quickly. Now, I know that was a long ramble, and I appreciate you guys tuning in, but I wanted to give this due diligence and comb through these things. You guys can use whatever you want. I'm on your side. I don't care what you do as long as you train hard. But consider the points I made, that there might be better options that aren't as arbitrary. All right, let me get a drink. Let me know what you think of that. Paladin, are there any aspects of lifting or nutrition that you have changed your mind on from previous years? Yeah. I used to be kind of a knee-jerk, like in the mid 2000s, I was a knee-jerk Smith machine hater. And the Smith machine can be a very valuable tool when used properly. I used to be a squat and deadlift guy, squat, and deadlift. But as I started to coach more people, I realized that things are a little bit more nuanced than walking around with your balls in your hands like I have big balls, squat and deadlift. I have big balls, squat and deadlift. I love these lifts. I love these lifts 100%. But all I'm saying is they're more nuanced. They take time to learn, and they can be a meat grinder for many, many people. So I have learned that we need to temper this and not meat grind novices and not meat grind trainees. Those are the two biggest things. Big Jonathan. Happy Friday, Steve and Team Massive. Could you please explain the difference between the dumb? Oh, I already did this. I'm going to jump ahead real quick. We got some diabetic stuff on here. Soy sauce banana. Should diabetic clients train differently than non? No. Everybody has to do what they can do, and we adjust in the gym, right? So I've trained Special Olympians. I've trained people that were blind. I've trained all kinds of athletes, people with injuries. Right now, I have a client that needs surgery on one shoulder. So we're doing mostly unilateral work. You do what you can do. You do what you can do, right? You do what you can do, and you adjust based on what's going on in the gym. So we don't arbitrarily start different. Every person is unique, whether you have diabetes, whether you have 4 toes, whether you have 3 ears, whatever you got going on, whether you have a spinal issue. We assess the best place forward, and then we adjust after that. Diabetic, you take insulin. It is the best anabolic if you know how to. I'm not a, this is not the focus of Massive Iron. I appreciate the comment, so I appreciate you being here, but I don't think we want to promote lifting and not the dark side. Where are we? Jonathan, how are things going with the Massive Iron app? They're going well. I need to clip in the videos, and I've been sick for so long. I need to get together the videos for the app, but it's getting to the point where things are looking really good. We have it ready on all platforms, and I think we have that down, so we're getting pretty close. Steve, what is your take on focus on the process in terms of bodybuilding? Well, I was thinking about this the other day, and I put together a video topic, and I think it would be a good topic. Like, when we talk about strength standards, strength, we can get drunk on chasing strength. Strength is obviously the byproduct of hard training, right? So, strength standards do and don't matter. They matter in the sense that they're a reflection of training hard. And you aren't going to see any big bodybuilders that are relatively weak, no matter what anybody on the internet says. I want you to always remember this. When you see people on the internet proclaiming that so-and-so is big and not strong, I'm going to tell you so-and-so isn't big. So-and-so likely has 14.5-inch arms and is ripped, okay? So-and-so is super lean usually and looks impressive and ripped, but they're not big. I have been around the block long enough to know I've never seen anybody big and weak. Nobody's like that. You might have an outlier that comes to the table and can bench 275 nearly in their first 6 months of lifting. We can't rule out that. But in general, that person, when they get big, they're going to get a lot stronger. So it kind of negates the whole argument. Strength is required. If you want big shoulders, you have to build an appreciable amount of strength. There is a zone you get in. Let's take the bench, for example. Lifters will come to the table of hypertrophy and they'll say, I moved my dumbbell bench from 25 to 50. Why haven't I added much size? I've increased, I've done the progressive overload. Well, you might be hard training and you might have gained a couple, 2, 3, 4 pounds of muscle, and it might not seem like a lot. And you have the expectations, I want to build a lot of muscle. Still, even though you've been doing things right and you've been doing progressive overload and you're hard training, you haven't built an appreciable amount of strength. Not enough to build a lot of mass. Okay? That mass is going to come from 50s to 100s on dumbbell bench. That intermediate grind. Let's say you got your squat up to 225. Well done. Seriously, well done. That's going to build some muscle, but the amount of muscle it's actually going to build is going to be relatively small compared to where most people want to go, because it's still relatively weak. When you think of strength, progressive overload, it's like putting a brick on your back or carrying a brick. Each brick you add is going to force the body to respond and grow. It's external force, tension, pressure. And you can get into the gym for the first 4, 6, 8 months and you can start adding bricks, and you got a load of bricks here, right? And you've made good progress, and that's great. But it's not enough stress and pressure over the long run to build the mass you want to build. You need to keep adding bricks to the point where it is so mentally and physically unbelievably challenging that the body is going to grow exponentially bigger and stronger. Does that make sense? So that's a key component. We don't want to get caught up in strength. We need to understand the process is long. We need to be safe and smart. We can't beat up the body. Sustainability is a core principle in the massive iron world. Sustainable training. And look, most of us want a better body, right? Some of you just want to be fat pigs at bench 365, and I have no hate for you because I was there myself for a while. Everybody's goals are unique, and I'm not going to criticize anybody's goals because I don't care. Your goals are yours. This is your life. You do you, right? You do you. But what was I saying? I got distracted. I forgot. I lost my train of thought there for a moment. Everybody's goals are different. What was I talking about? I completely lost my train of thought. I think that's one of the few times on Massive Iron where I've done so. The process. Okay. Most of us want a better body to whatever degree. Most of us want a better body. There are many out there that is their primary obsession and they don't love training. Or they don't love training to the degree where they're going to be successful. They simply don't. Training has to be your first love. And getting in there and training hard, you need to understand that it's a very long process. And you're not going to get PRs every week. You might not get PRs every month. But that's okay because you understand the process. So we have to trust in the process. We have to play the long game. We have to focus on maximizing sets. And above all else, we have to love the lift. We have to love lifting. Rico, how's it going, Rico? What's AC new challenge you set for yourself once you're getting to feel better? Just regular. I want to get back to running desperately. It's something I think about every day. And I need to get back to running at least 2 times a week plus a longer run on Saturday for no other reason than I love it. And I need to lift 4 times a week. Routine. I'm going to be honest with you guys. And some of you have seen this and some of you haven't. When I started to get into online coaching, I'm like, maybe I'll get 5 or 10 people, make a couple, $2-3 extra dollars, and it'll be a nice complementary source of income. And, really that's how I viewed it. I didn't know what would happen. Then the pandemic hit. Everybody had free time. Everybody had money. And my coaching services absolutely exploded. Absolutely. Beyond anything I could ever have imagined. And years later, I was voted the online coach of the year by Trainerize, beat out 400,000 other coaches. I didn't even know I was in the running. Last year, I had over 90,000 messages to clients. The year after that, I was in the top 5 for the online coach of the year, and I knew they weren't going to give it to me back to back because, that's Michael Jordan stuff. So I didn't plan on winning, but just to be in the conversation. But anyway, the point is, it's not about me and my awards and accolades and da-da-da. It's about the fact that I went from point A, where I didn't think I was going to, be coaching more than 5 to 10 people, to the point where all of a sudden, I became the coach of the year, like winning the Super Bowl of your industry. And you can't prepare for that. You have to adjust on the fly. And I've adjusted, I've refined, I have systems in place. I'm not just arbitrary. I handle my small business like a small business, etc. But that's rapid growth. And any small business that undergoes that rapid growth is going to have a lot of stress and growing pains where they're trying to figure it all out. And I went through that. And I would say over the last 2 years, that has settled down. So I'm in a good place. Initially, when you take on more clients, you're like, what if they go? I'm working for myself. I'm not going to have any money and pay for food and all that. That's in your head every single day. I'm in a good place now. My coaching is more efficient than ever. I'm in a better position to take care of myself. But during that rapid growth period, I wasn't very good at taking care of myself. It wasn't like I was doing anything reckless, but I just wasn't, lifting how I wanted to lift and running how I wanted to run, if that makes sense. All right, guys, let me get a drink. We're about an hour in. Wow. I really rambled on the starting strength stuff. I have to do it because I'm going to get a lot of haters, and I'm just trying to be reasonable. I don't care what you guys do, and I'm not here to push my methods. I want you guys to be successful no matter what you do. That's all. But if I'm going to be honest, there are programs I don't feel are the best for you, for your goals. And I'm going to say that. And if somebody hates me for that, so be it. Good morning, Mr. Shaw. Good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Ian, thank you for tuning in from the UK. Your push-pull arms legs video is goated. Thank you. A really good program. For those of you guys that like the push-pull legs and you want to pull a little bit of arm volume out of the push day, you can move it over to the arms day. You can add in a little bit of junk. You can put in your calves and forearms, whatever. It relieves a little bit of pressure. Or you can take some of your benching and put it on your arms day. Like you could do a close grip, or you could do the 5, 10, 10, 20 or whatever. So you can still train 5, 6 days a week using it. You just have a different rotation, if that makes sense. If you guys haven't checked that out, please check that out. You can just search PPAL, or you can go to my website, Super Living Today, and search PPAL. I also have the massive collection over there, which has basically 350 billion pages of workouts, a lot of my workouts. So you can check that out as well. Where are we? I think I lost track. Shelly, good morning, Shelly from the best coast, West Coast. Oregano, Shelly is a client of mine. Martin is a client of mine. Happy anniversary. Thank you. We're going to Brazil. I think I mentioned we're going to Brazilian Steakhouse. Big Ernie P. How's it going, client of mine? Big Jonathan. What's going on, Jonathan? Happy anniversary. Thank you, sir. Client of mine. Ian. Dumbbell rows, each rep from the floor. Is it better for mass or having a hanging? Well, first off, you can do either one. The reason why I like some clients go off the floor, some have them hanging. The reason why I like pulling off the floor is because the dumbbell row is a stealth movement that can place a lot of stress on your lower back, especially as you progress, get heavier, etc. So by setting it down briefly, I find I can brace and then focus better and take a momentary amount of time and pressure off my lower back. Does that make sense? The dumbbell row, because you're holding a weight off the ground that's pretty heavy, it's going to have a tendency to send your cardiovascular system, your heart rate racing. So that little bit of pacing action is not a bad idea either. It can beat up your biceps as well if you're doing a lot of boom, boom, boom. I've done 200 for 20, 25, 30 reps. I don't even know. A lot of crazy shenanigans over the years. And it can really hit your lower back. So I like off the floor. I find it's better on my lower back. It's more sustainable, less bicep pressure, and I can get better bracing. What are the strength standards? On Bicepticon, there's so many different lifts. I have a strength standard video, and you can go to the main page of YouTube, and I'm not being dismissive, but search strength standards. The big thing you really want to focus on for 16-inch arms is getting your compounds to a pretty strong level and then capping that off with good isolation focus. There are no specific, levels that I would say are essential because there's so many biceps and triceps exercises. Steve, been lifting 4 years with a good home gym, but need to move and downsize. I have some adjustable dumbbells, but might not be able to fit a bench can't afford a gym membership, you can do a lot with dumbbells and a bench. Is it going to be optimal? No. Can you do the dumbbell bench? Can you do the barrel press? Can you do the dumbbell fly? Can you do the push-up? Maybe the weighted push-up. You can get away, a little bit of weight. You can hit the chest good. You can do lat-focused rows. You can do chest-supported rows. You can do a dumbbell pullover. You can get in a reasonable back workout. Same with shoulders, dumbbell flies, dumbbell overhead, Arnold press. Legs a little bit harder. Bulgarians, lunges, and then goblets, but you can get in enough. It's a holdover, and you can train hard. So the main goal is to ask yourself, what can I do to train as hard as possible using what I have? If you do that, you're in a pretty good place. Big Nolan, a client of mine, found an Olympic plate-loaded dumbbell handle at my gym. I have one of these. Usually the dumbbell handle is pretty long and girthy, and it can hold a lot of weight, and you can really do some super-de-duper dumbbell rows. Should I keep progressing the Meadows row? I would do one set of those every other week just to kind of slowly ramp up and see if you like it. But I wouldn't jump into super heavy. If the gym is packed and the machine is taken, recently I've been doing an equivalent exercise. That's fine. Yeah, absolutely. The only exercise you probably want to do every week is a squat. I find that my connective tissue deconditions a little bit more quickly on the squat. Maybe it's mental. I like to stay connected to the squat every week. It's a mental thing, and I think there's benefit. On the bench, every other lift, I think you could do every other week as long as your training was reasonable. Big Sam. I do not know whether it is because I am lifting heavier weights, but I cannot tolerate more than 9 hard sets. Could be, right? So the only advice is this is a long journey, and be patient, right? You want to build up your work capacity a little bit, but don't panic. Just let it come to you. If that happens over 2 to 3, years, that's fine. It's one of the reasons why at the end of the road, I do like my last exercise is like a lateral raise or a pec deck or leg extensions. Those are effective lifts. But you can't do 12 brutal sets a week generally per body part. Some of you might be able to. So that's why we kind of downgrade a little bit as we move on. Does that make sense? The explosion of influencers mean they try to keep up with one another. Yeah. And I don't like to generalize, but influencers are playing an influencer game. In general, I think it's fair to say. They're fighting over traffic. They're fighting over views. They're fighting over likes. And a lot of them make their money from traffic, right? There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want to do. It's like OnlyFans. You have 8 billion people trying to compete for you to look at their boobies or their feet or their armpits or whatever the fetish of the day is, right? There's a lot of competition. The fitness influencer world is like OnlyFans. They're all fighting for your views. Not a criticism. It's just the game they're playing. And you have guys rise to the top, and there's a lot of pressure for them to produce new concept, new ideas so they don't stagnate. So let's do a curl lying on the bench or flat on the bench and curling up like Dr. Mike or doing whatever. Someone might say, hey, I like that exercise. That's fine. But we all can agree there's a lot of pressure on them to maintain. Like Greg Doucette, getting crazy views, buying crazy cars. Hey, well done, man. Well done. But that's a lot of pressure. Would you like that pressure just to pay the insurance bill for all those sports cars? I don't. Like I get to a Saturday, man, and I just want to watch a rugby match for 15 minutes while the wife's in the shower, or a soccer match, or baseball highlights, or watch a YouTube video. I don't want to have to worry about paying. What am I going to come up with to shock and awe or get views on YouTube? I want to sit my big Kabuski down on the old Kabuski throne, the big, hairy, ugly dude throne, and relax a little bit. Hey, that's their lifestyle. Go ahead. But the influencers are playing that game. Here's the game I'm playing. Let's talk about the basics. Let's talk about hard training. I don't need to make 7 figures, right? I'm okay with what I'm doing. I'm not being critical of them. I don't need likes. People used to make fun of me all the time, like when you're a smaller channel, like, your likes suck, ha, ha, ha. Your views suck, ha, ha, ha. Hey, you know what? I went from a fat schmuck that nearly died in a basement gym that had type 2 diabetes to having my story featured on MSNBC, being listed as one of the top 10 most influential people in the history of fitness, along with Arnold and Jillian Michael. That was just one article, one person's opinion. To the online coach of the year, beating out 400,000 people, to working at Muscle and Strength and Tiger Fitness and building all these amazing things, to running for 52 hours and to put it together a running doc. I have lived the dream. I've got to lift and work out with so many people, the strongest people in the world, and all of this stuff. Just absolute dream. And I'm not playing there. I'm blessed, man. I can't get any more blessed. If I died today, I would be fulfilled because of everything I've been through. People used to, when you're a smaller channel, they'll laugh at you. Ha, 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 views. Yeah, ha, ha, ha. One thing I tell people that are trying to build a YouTube business, and this is what I learned, is you don't need a lot of views to build a solid business. It isn't about the views, right? They have transient people that come and go, come for the entertainment, come for the show, and then they leave, and then they're on to the next bit of entertainment. And that's not criticism. Like, I'm trying to build an army of people that love the same thing. If you don't love what I do, that's okay. No harm, no foul. Go on, go on your way. Go do what you want to do. But I'm trying to build a following, and I have built a following of like-minded people. I believe in things that are bigger than lifting. Like, I believe in patience and kindness and servitude. I'm not always perfect at it, but I believe in things bigger than just lifting. Doing the right thing, hard work, no excuses. The core values I really believe in. These things are important to me. They're not things I just say. Like, would everybody want 1 million views and to be able to share their message? Yeah, I would. But that's not going to happen for me, and it'll never happen for me. And I've been doing this for over 14 years. I know it'll never happen, but I have you guys. And you're not a follower to me. You're a human being. You're someone I cherish, someone I want to get to know. Come join Team Massive. I try to get to know everybody because it's not something I say. I'm thankful for each and every one of you. Dolphin, craziest gym story. Wow. I got a lot of stories, so let me share this one with you. So there was a time I was at a gym for work. It was a work gym. And there were some guys there that I live pretty close to where West Side is. I'm in Ohio. I'm in the Strength Triangle. Elite, West Side, the strongest woman in the world, Laura Phelps Sweat, is around here. I've been to powerlifting meets. We've talked to, the Arnold Sports Federation. I'm in the Strength Triangle. I'm in the state of strength in the United States, arguably. People from West Side at the gym, people with really strong powerlifting connections. Now, this person wasn't specifically from West Side, but there was a guy, and we'll call him Brian because that was his name, but we won't use his last name. And this is the story as I understand it. Brian was a little crazy, a little kooky, but he was a pretty decent guy. When my car broke down, he came, picked me up, and drove me to work. All right, that's all I knew about Brian. Brian would spot me when I needed spotters, but Brian had a bag of stuff, of goodies. And Brian would sell bags of goodies to people outside of the gym. And I don't know who he was selling to. I don't get in his business. I'm just there to lift weights. But, people talk, and I know what Brian's up to on the side, slinging stuff. So Brian, who was a bench press specialist in powerlifting, he's in his late 40s, sold, from what I understand, over $10,000 worth of fake megaroids to a major powerlifting gym. Okay? From the way I understand the story, and I think it's pretty accurate, they got so pissed they tracked him down and cut off his arm. No more benching. That's just one of the crazy stories over the years. I've never seen him since. I don't know where he is. Private citizen. I have a 15-year-old son on the football team, lifts weights, daily, he eats an insane amount of food, pretty normal for a teen. No, you want to focus on health, really. I mean, as a parent, you don't want to get them overly obsessed with the scale. You want to get them focused on taking care of their body with good quality food. And then, the 10, 20, 30% can be a little bit of junk. But he's active, which is a positive. Get him focused on taking care of himself. Get him into the world of creatine, if you want, and whey supplements, and even protein bars, because some people will be dismissive of it, but the whole lifestyle and the whole culture, right, is a positive thing. So even if you think creatine's a waste, or you think taking B12 is a waste or whatever, it's a positive lifestyle and a positive culture. And, kids can be kids. They can eat too much ice cream sometimes. They can go crazy sometimes. But focus him on the good habits, taking care of himself. Being a good football player is going to be about taking care of yourself. And in the long run, if you want to have a long career, you need to take care of yourself. Big Joe B. Thanks for the cut reply. Makes sense. You bet, Joe. Big Joe. Another Big Joe. Been hitting it hard and been progressing fairly decent, I believe, but this morning felt like I hit a wall. It happens, man. One out of every maybe 4 or more workouts, you're going to go in and it's just going to be a big bag of suck. That's just part of the process, right? Sometimes I'd go out for a long run and I just feel like a big bag of suck. I don't know why. I just get in and it's just part of the process, right? So don't overthink about it. Don't worry about it. These are the times if you want to take a day or two of extra rest, go right ahead. Re-rack. Big Sam. My arms are 17.3 inches, but they look smaller than my buddy. Could have to do with shape. Like if you have a big baseball looking bicep, it'll make your arm look bigger. Like me, I have a huge tricep and it makes my arm look much bigger than it is. So Sam, if you have a picture, post it up, post the link. We'll take a look. I'll give you a fair critique. Big Justin Jones. Good morning, Big Hairy Ugly Dude and Team Massive. Big Daniel. How's it going? One of my clients, one of my favorite people on planet Earth. My coach is on TV. Yeah. Hope your TV screen doesn't crack. Red Polar Bear, welcome back, man. Good to have you. Good morning. Big Ernie. Can you explain the role Delta plays when doing dips? Delts? Sorry, Ernie said delts. Sorry. The only thing I say when we're trying to dissect compound movements is What is the end goal? And I'm not being critical, Ernie. I'm just saying, what is the end goal? Right? So if you're very upright, you're going to have your delts are going to be stabilizers. Everything in the upper body is going to work to a degree to be stabilization, right? Provide stabilization. But a horizontal press, you're really going to work the front delts hard. An overhead press, you're really going to work the front delts hard. An overhead press, you're going to work the side delts. A front press, you're going to work the side delts to a lesser degree. A dip, you're still pressing. You're going to get some front and side delt action. To what degree is going to depend on the individual, how deep they can go, what their limb lengths and leverages are. They aren't a prime mover. The prime mover in the dip, depending on how you do it, is going to be the chest and the triceps, and maybe to a degree the front delts. I don't like to overanalyze compound movements because you get into the speculation world, and everybody's different. That's why there's value in personal experience. How does this feel for me? We want to focus on form. We want to focus on feel, but it is good for it can be good for your chest. It can be good for your triceps, etc. Do you think one body part week split the best? No, there is no best. There's no magical program. I always want you guys to think about weekly volume. Weekly volume per body part is the key. Programs are like picking a partner, right? Some of you want blondes, some of you want brunettes, some of you want redheads, some of you want Sinead O'Connor, some of you want big butts, some of you want other things. I'm trying to be crude, but it really is personal preference. Split. This isn't just psycho babble or bro opinions. It's basically what the last 3 meta-analyses have said, that there's no advantage to anything when weekly volume is equal. Ice cold baby. What's going on, Tristan? Thanks for tuning in. Tristan's always here with the good questions, so I appreciate you tuning in. I just got a text before I read this from Tejas, from my Brazilian steakhouse. They want me to confirm, so we'll confirm that. What are your thoughts on having fractional microplates in the gym? Yeah, man, take them. Just engrave your name on there. Get a little engraver or whatever. Anything you can take into the gym, take it. I take everything I can get in the gym. Ab wheel, a wrist roller, a couple of midgets for spotters. Just jokes. I don't think we can call them midgets anymore. I take everything in the gym I can. Everything. I like a big gym bag. I like a big gym bag where you can, you could take a body out if you needed to. Like when the guy is just, singing over his headphones for an hour and you need to take a body out of the gym. Just jokes, just bad humor. But you know what I'm saying. I like to take everything in I can. I really, really do. Big Ernie Peterson, is unreasonable for my shoulder work to be. Is it unreasonable for all my shoulder? No, not at all. You don't have to do upright rows. You don't have to do side laterals. You could do dumbbell overhead, barbell overhead, BTN, machine shoulder press, whatever you want. Absolutely. As long as it's working for you and you're recovering fine. No issues at all. Months ago, when I started training 4 days a week, I was doing quad and hammy whammy focused leg day, but don't take 60 to 75 minutes to finish, and I want to return to that training style. You mean it takes longer, are you saying? So I'm going down the road here. He says, continued, because I don't want to spend nearly 2 hours per leg day in order to get through 10 hard sets. One thing you can do, depending on how you want to split, is you can do all your quad work on one day. And what I used to do, if you can train 5 days a week, you could do this. You could do deadlifts and then hammy whammy work. Like you could do deadlifts and RDLs and shruggies, and then your hammy whammy work. If you can train 5 days a week, that's a really good way to train. So you're doing your quads one day, and then your second day, you're doing your deadlifts and your RDLs and your shruggies and your hammy whammy work and maybe your calves. If you can only train 4 days a week, you probably have to, you're going to have to go in and we have to look at your quads. What's taking the longest? Maybe you need to downgrade your squats to 2 sets. Maybe you need to alternate between leg press and hack squats. I'd like to look at your program to give a fair look at things. You said 10 hard sets. I'd like to see what exercise you're doing. I think and I don't know what you're doing, so I don't know how packed your gym is. It should not take you 2 hours to do 10 hard sets. It should not. It would take me 2 hours to get up to a 600-pound squat during a day and then do all my other work for legs. I'm not being critical. Something's broken that we have to fix, and I don't know what it is. Paul, good morning, Paul. Thanks for tuning in. You are the man. Paul's the best friend I never met. Good to have you here, Paul. Same with Joe. Your coaching is second to none. Thank you, Joe. Each day you reach out and communicate, and often multiple times, even on the fence side of Discord is amazing too, for infinite help and community. Thank you, Joe. Every day I wake up and man, comments like this really keep me going, so I appreciate it. Steve, I've been keeping my elbow tendonitis at bay by using VersaGrips. Good, I'm glad to hear that. And some physical therapy. I'd like to start adding some forearm training. Just keep using your VersaGrips. Don't go overboard on the forearm training, because a lot of people wake up and they're like, I'm going to do forearm training, and then boom. Wrist roller, good place to start. Captains of Crush grippers, good place to start. Grip and forearms. You can do reverse curly whirlies if you want. I like to do wrist rollers a lot more than curly whirlies. If you like those, go for it. But ease in. Don't feel like you need to do a lot. Maybe start with 3 sets twice a week. Big Paul. I added deadlift to my split and my hamstrings are sore. Yeah, absolutely. Pulling off the ground and being braced, you're going to work your hamstrings. Definitely work your hamstrings. So is it going to be as intense as working your hammy whammies like on a stiff leg deadlift? No. But absolutely normal. Simonson, 7-7. Good morning from Kimberly, BC. Thanks for tuning in from British Columbia. You mentioned the Arnold press. Do you see merit in doing that method as opposed in the massive iron world? And I know you guys probably get tired of me saying this, but the best answer is you always, want to consider doing both, like every other week. There is merit in doing both every other week if you like doing both. Number one, you get a mental break. You get to do something different, right? And number two, you get a little bit of variation. A little bit of variation is never a bad thing. So we got about 8 questions left. If you guys have any questions, get them in now, just as a first warning. Big Steve, Widowmaker hammer curls on the old school tricep bar. I love the old school tricep bar. I love doing high rep finisher stuff on the hammer whammer curls or the pinwheel curls. Yeah, I'm all for it, man. I think that's a wonderful thing. If you guys don't know what a hammer curl bar is, or an old school triceps bar, it's one of those big kind of long cylindrical things with parallel grips, and you can curl like this. And it's a fun tool. I don't have one here, but you know what? You just got me excited to go buy one off Amazon. So if anybody wants to buy one for my birthday in October, you can buy it for me now. Just a joke. Right. Also, any advice for the end of a bulk? Should I re-add carbs, meat slowly? Anytime you've been restricting food choices, and I don't mean that in a negative way, your gut microbiome is going to have a tendency to adapt to what you are eating. Okay. So when you reintroduce foods that haven't been in the mix, for a while, there's a tendency that you're going to aggravate your gut, and you could have what's known in the scientific world as the Ray shit skis. You could have diarrhea, right? Um, you could have the El Pooperooskis, your gut, just as you're reintroducing something you haven't had, and you get the Ray shit skis. So I would reintroduce it, but slowly. I wouldn't go out to a Brazilian steakhouse or anything, right? I'd just reintroduce it slowly over a period of 2-3 days. Or will having an Easter pig out? No, it's not going to kill you. One day isn't going to kill you. Go celebrate, man. Go celebrate. Celebrating one day. Focus on meat. Focus on good food as much as you can. You might gain a couple, 2-3 pounds of water weight, but you're not going to gain fat with one day. If you do go over, then 3 or 4 days later, your body weight's probably going to be back down to normal. Ice cold, baby. What lifting styles do you mainly coach? Curious to know if you could. I don't do Olympic lifting. I have nothing against it, but I always stay in my wheelhouse. I don't know anything about Olympic. I've played around with the lifts, over the years. I played around. I used to take, sometimes in Wisconsin, I had a big yard. I would take a barbell outside and try to do the overhead squat. And I quickly found out that I suck at it, right? So, I've messed around with power cleans. I don't know what I got up to. I used to mess around a little bit with power cleans. I just, it's not my thing. And I have nothing against them. I don't think they're a great tool for hypertrophy. Some of the variations can be, like the high pull. But no, I don't coach Olympic lifting. I coach just straightforward lifting. I coach running and, body transformation. A-S. I train chest, back, shoulders, and arms with 4 sets each, 4 times a week. Okay. 16 sets. And then leggies with 2 days off. Yeah, it's reasonable. As long as you're recovering, as long as you have a progression approach, that's the key. So absolutely reasonable. All right, 4 questions left, guys. Get them in now, or else I'll be hopping off after an hour and a half. Why do a lot of people in the fitness industry say that protein is the only macro you need? I don't know why anybody says anything. Carbs are very protein sparing. So when you're bulking or eating a lot of calories, you don't necessarily need to go overboard on protein. That doesn't mean you should try to seek the low level. You should still try to maintain dietary balance, right? But, you need fats for your central nervous system, for your brain, for your organs, for your skin, on and on and on, right? So you need fats. Carbs are fun. Carbs are the fun macro. A little bit of tortillo chips, a little bit of ice cream action, a little bit of protein bar action with those extra carbotrons. Carbs are the fun. They're like the life of the party. Hey, I like meat. I like meat. Meat to me is like the cornerstone. Like, I think about meat first, right? Meat is like, I'm going to have that person at the party every time. We're going to see meat. And then it's like, I'm going to have a party, meat's going to be there. But like, like carbs are the music and the stuff. Like, what else? What are the side dishes? What are the hors d'oeuvres? What are we going to have right on the side? Carbs are the fun. And, carbs can, veggies, things with fiber, slower digesting carbs, they can provide, they're better for your blood sugar. They're better for your insulin levels. They're just better overall. And, they're good for food volume, filling in the cracks, not just as fun foods. But yeah, I mean, the fitness industry says a lot of stupid crap. And at the end of the day, we just need to be reasonable and sustainable and not fall into any of this influencer nonsense. Big Whoops. I overlooked something here. Where are we? Are there any strength standards to look out for that can indicate if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced? Check out my strength standards video. It's going to provide a lot of value. Let me see if I can actually find the slide. Hold on. I'm going to try to find it. I don't know if it's on my computer and as a PDF. If it is, we will pull it up. And just give me 1 second here. Strength leaderboard. Strength leaderboard. That's from the old Team Massive. Let me just search standard. And if I can't find standard, we shall move on. I thought maybe I would have the PDF here. What was that? PDF standard final. I don't think that's it. I can't find it offhand. There's a video I have on this channel. Just go to the main page and search strength standards. But I don't want to get into numbers as far as beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Dumbbell bench, if you're like within the 50 to 80 to 90 range, you're in the intermediate range, So, Big Joe, thank you, Joe. I sincerely appreciate it. That's going to buy a piece of cheesecake for my wife, and I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Big Thunder. Hey, big, hairy, ugly dude, is it more effective to do arm exercises after bench exercises? Do them at the end. You want to do all your big compounds, and then you do the periphery work, the icing on the cake, the arm work. You don't ever want to do arm work before any big compound movement, if that makes sense. Ice cold baby. Yeah, I understand you don't coach Olympic lifting because it's already a technical lifting style. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any problem with anything. I mean, if, I started lifting in 86. And if things like strongman would have been around, or I don't know if I would have been introduced to Olympic lifting, I might have gotten into it. You never know where your path is going to go, but I just wasn't ever exposed to it. In all my ventures, in all my travels, I've never really been around people that were really prolific and efficient and effective at Olympic lifting. I've been around some amazing kettlebell people. Not to the point where it's rubbed off, but probably one of the only things I haven't been around is, Olympic lifting. I struggle with doing pull-ups. Can I do other? Oh, yeah. Yes, we want you to. It's probably not going to magically bring up your pull-up, but you definitely want to do other things to strengthen your back. If you want to do something specifically for that movement pattern, band-assisted pull-ups, you could do block pull-ups, like in a 2-minute block, see how many reps you can get resting as needed. Let me know if you need any more help. Big Mike M. On the Arnold press, what is the bottom part twist adding to the it's adding a little bit of twist. So it's like a little twist of lime. It's a complex movement, so coming down here, right? It's with your elbow forward, it's going to be more front delt. And then as you rotate up, you're transferring to the side delt. That's my generic bro science-y take on things. So it's a little bit more, because your elbow's forward, a little bit more front delt focused at the bottom. Big Lee. In my last video upload, I did a single arm dumbbell row. That's very strong. Do you mind assessing the form? Hey, if you have it, Lee, send it to me. I can upload it right here. You can send the video file to me via WhatsApp. You can email the video. I'm going to put if you can get this up before I go, we can do this live. Okay. If you have the file, Lee, hold on. Email it to me. Let me know if you're going to email it. Like Gmail, Google Drive, whatever, Dropbox, Hotbox, Flopbox. If anybody wants to ever send me a video and have me critique it live, I can download the file. Just let me know. And I can upload it straight into this system. And then we can, if you just have a video link, you can post the link, email me the link. And I can feature it on here as well. So whatever works for you, you just let me know what you're doing. Big Polar Bear. Any long-term experience with bench racks? I set bench press station where the bench is always aligned correctly. When you say bench racks, I just want to understand what specifically you mean. I have a lot of experience benching in all sorts of scenarios, bench stations, squat racks, etc. So maybe you can expound a little bit so I can understand. What would you say a reasonable back squat volume is per week? 3 sets. I mean, you don't really need to do more than 3 sets. If you want to, oh, Leah, I just got your email. You don't really need to, I'm going to pull this up here in just a second. You don't really need to do more than 3 sets a week. I wouldn't ever probably do more than 6 sets a week. So I'm going to pull up Lee's video. I just got it via Gmail. So hold on. We're going to look at Lee. We're going to look at Lee. I have to pull it up. I have to make sure it's muted. Hold on. Because the YouTubes, if I have any music in here, it'll censor it. It'll not show it in Bolivia or something. Those are crazy stuff. All right, present. This is Lee. Share screen. All right. This is Big Lee Dowling. And you can subscribe to him at Big Lee Dowling. Oh, look at that. Okay. You can see what I was looking at this week. Lyle McDonald and alien artifacts on Mars. Okay. All right, let's watch Big Lee. All right. All right. Braced. Okay. First thing I can't tell specifically, but when somebody is bracing, I want to make sure their hips are slightly below their shoulders. That'll allow a little bit less pressure on the old lower back. So it looks like it's the case. I can't tell how Lee is bracing. I'm seeing your torso rise up a lot before the weight comes off the ground. Now, that doesn't mean you're not strong, okay? I would like to see another video. Strength is strength, and we always respect strength here on the Massive Iron channel. But watch how your torso, the head goes up before the dumbbell goes up. Well, on that one, they kind of went up at the same time. Let's see what we got. Maybe the other side. I want to make sure when you guys do unilateral work like this, make sure you rest in between sets. You have to treat every set as unique. Strapping in. This might give us a little bit better view. Okay, his hips are below his shoulders, which are good. Waiting. Oh, yeah. It's a little bit. Yeah, your torso's coming up a lot. You're pulling up at the end. So you are getting in some back stress, but I think you'd be better off dropping the weight and trying to generate a little bit more power and keeping your torso locked in. So I hope that helps some. All right, Big Justin Jones from Jonesville. How would you program safety bar squats in twice a week? Well, I would do whatever you're going to do on the main mover and shaker on day 1, squats leading off. And if you're doing deadlifts on the other side of the posterior, I would do that first, and then maybe some variation, maybe a Hatfield squat, with the safety squat bar, or maybe 2 sets of 6 on pause. If you're doing deadlifts first, I'll probably drop the volume and do a little bit lighter, like a Hatfield squat or a pause squat. No worries, Lee. We got you bet, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Last call, guys. Last call. The Rogue Westside 2.0 bench rack is a popular one. Rogue Westside. Let me pull it up. Hold on. What else do we have to do? Road, west side, bench, rack, 2.0. Did I have that correctly? 2.0. Oh, I benched in one of those. Yeah. I benched in one of those at the, whoops, where did you go? I have so many windows open, I have no idea what's going on anymore. Let me come back and find us. All right. So I've benched in one of these before. The Power Station Gym had something similar in Middletown, Ohio. You got some setups on there for bands. That's pretty decent. I mean, I like it. The catch pins you can see are very close together, so you can adjust it nicely. Really good station. I'd have no issues with it. I wish there was a way you could do incline, but I understand the incline makes things a little bit wobblier. That's a pretty good price, for what you get. So, yeah, I'd be happy with that. You bet, Lee. What should you consider? When should you consider a cut? Number one, when you look in the mirror and you say, what in the name of holy hell am I looking at? What is that fat land whale? No, seriously, if it's a good time for you, that you can rip off 30 days of cutting and just get it over with. We don't want to do a long cut unless you're fantastic. So you want to do a cut when it makes sense for you. That's the primary thing, when it makes sense for you. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to wait around, see if you guys got any more questions before I jump ship. Let's go over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. Please check out the search custom workout. I do custom workouts for only $39, and I'll give you a bulking cutting suggestion on those as well. Really good value. I usually do those on Saturdays. So I'll build you a custom workout based on your equipment and injury history and preferences. Just search custom over there. I have something called the Workout Collection, which is a collection of over 300 pages of my most popular workouts. A lot of information. Search Omnibus. It's a huge, huge book series, basically all my life's work and knowledge in the one book series. Coaching. I coach for a living. I'd love to work with you. After the first month, my coaching is only $89.40 a month. All you need to do is drop cable and get some gain. So let's do it. Let's do it. I'd love to work with you, seriously, though. So just consider it in the future. What else do I got? I got apparel. You want some good T-shirts? Check out my apparel tab. We got some massive iron shirts. In my uneducated opinion, they're the best shirts since Mike Mentzer's heavy-duty shirts. A lot of good stuff, So I don't make anything off of shirts, maybe a buck, couple buck, $2, $3. But I'd love to have you representing. And, yeah, that's about it. I got other stuff over there. Go check it out. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Please, please come back next Friday at 11 Eastern. I will be here. Thank you guys for watching. Go kick ass and go eat your oatmeal.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.